Fine by me.
I think Joe might be having some difficulty there. Joe might be having some difficulties. Joe having some difficulty?
Yeah, just the video is crashing the Wi-Fi. So I think
we can hear you
my
anyway.
beauty is breaking the internet here. Right, okay.
We can hear you anyway.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Marvin. Oh, sorry, Maeve.
Hello, everybody, and welcome this evening.
Hello, mate.
Are you okay, Anthony?
I'm good, yeah.
Just good. Can't see you.
No, I can't either.
I can.
And this is our first meeting.
I'm here.
It's so sad. But we're going to have a short rest, but we'll have plenty to do to get ready for September, get new members in, and hopefully be back face to face again.
Hopefully.
So, Anthony, would you like to explain your role?
Okay. Thank you, Madam President. My name is Anthony, you know everything, and it's very nice to be from other side of the table because I've been starting the meeting for the last 1 year, so I forgot about this role, and I have to just recollect what this role is about. So I'm just looking at the agenda of the today's meeting. We'll be having a table topic session and followed by 2 speeches. The quote for today's meeting is change the world by being yourself. Amy Poehler. I haven't heard of that person, Amy Poehler. Change the world by being yourself. It's a very, very tough actually to be yourself because we are bombarded with so much information every day from every place, like from the web or from the persons we see, the persons we talk to. So it's very difficult to be yourself, to be not influenced by others and just follow who you are. It's very easy to say it, but very hard to follow it. So Toastmaster is a place where you try out new ideas and where you can try out with your own opinion. Don't get influenced, whether it be wrong or right or wrong. And so today I'll invite participants. It's our regular member. We don't have any guests today. Different roles of the meeting. The first thing is a very important role, which is the timer, who makes sure the meeting. It's our regular member. We don't have. I would like to introduce to their role, which is the timer on correct time. So timer of today's is timer. Can you please explain your role today?
Good evening, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. So this evening I'll be serving as timer. My duty is to time the table topics, prepared speeches, and the evaluations. For the table topics, each speaker will have 2 minutes, and any follow-on will be 1 minute. And these times will be indicated by the bill. Everybody here clearly hear that?
Yeah. Thank you, Aidan.
Okay, and we have 2 prepared speeches, and both are 5 to 7 minutes. And for the prepared speeches, I will use the card system. So on 5 minutes, I will hold up the blue card. 6 minutes, I will hold up the yellow card. And finally, on 7 minutes, I will hold up the red card. The evaluators will have 2 to 3 minutes, and the card system will be used. And finally, the general evaluator will have 3 to 5 minutes. And I'll present my report as called upon during the meeting, and I would like to ask the speakers to occasionally glance at my screen or else use pin video on my screen throughout the speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Aidan. The second role for today is grammarian. Grammarian Joseph Connor, can you please explain your role? Joe, are you in there?
Well, thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Can you hear me? All right,
We
okay.
can hear you. Yeah.
So today I'm going to do two roles. I'll be keeping an eye on the language, good and bad, during the meeting. I will also keep a tally as accurate as I can, but you know, plus or minus a few here and there, crutch words, the ums and ahs and so's and you like and all that sort of thing. And finally, I'll be also introducing a word of the day. And the word of the day is stymie. And stymie means to prevent or hinder the progress of something, or to present an obstacle or stand in the way. So you could say that COVID-19 has stymied my chances of having a sit-in exam for my course this year. And I'm going to have to postpone to get a position in the exam hall. And yeah, I will present that report at the end of the meeting when called upon by yourself again, Mr. Toastmaster.
Okay. Thank you. Joe, can you please paste the word and the meaning in the chat window, please?
Sure, yeah, I'll do that now in a minute.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. The next role is the general evaluator. The general evaluators for today's meeting is James Sheridan. James, can you please explain your role?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Yes, my role this evening is to pretty much to evaluate the meeting itself, to provide any feedback, suggestions to help maintain the standard we have and possibly make some improvements. I'll also try my best to provide some feedback to the evaluators. So I won't be evaluating speeches, but I may be able to provide some feedback to the evaluators. That's my role for this evening.
Thank you, James. Next, we move on to the next big role of today, the topic master. So, Somesh, can you please explain your role? And
are you able to hear me?
yes.
I will be giving the topics, and as Aidan mentioned before, it'll be for the first person who answers, it'll be 2 minutes, and then the follow-ons will be 1 minute. And we'll try and keep the follow-ons less to a limited number of people, so that the whole purpose of table topics is speaking on the feet, impromptu speaking. So not to defeat that purpose, we'll try and keep the follow-ons as less as possible, probably 2 to 3 in the maximum. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Somesh. I hand over the gavel to you, and you're the go ahead with your topics, please.
Okay, so we are in the last meeting of the year. This is the Toastmasters' last meeting of the year. We'll be going for a break next month, and we'll come back on September. So what do you think about the last, this year of Toastmasters? I'll give it to probably Siobhan.
Thank you very much, Somesh. I was actually thinking of this today because I still have to write that article as PRO for this year. And I was actually reflecting on some of the amazing achievements that the club has had. Most recently, your own DTM and Deirdre's DTM, and then all of the other awards that everybody's got. But even beyond the awards and the noticeable achievements, I think one of the highlights of the year has definitely been how well we've adapted and how resilient we've shown that we are as a club by being able to get online so quickly when lockdown happened, and being able to learn so much so quickly about being online. And just I experienced it at the last meeting. I'm still very grateful for that, how when I experienced some technical difficulties during my presentation, how so many people were able to immediately offer suggestions, and how even people in roles were able to adjust quickly and be so flexible. And I think this is one of the best examples of everything we learn in Toastmasters actually in action. So I think it's been one of the most positive years, which is almost strange to say, because in so many ways, COVID-19 could have stymied our meetings, but it just shows we're so resilient. It'll take something stronger to stop Athlone Toastmasters. Thank you, Mr. Topics Master.
Thank you very much, Siobhan. Very nicely answered. I love how you have put in your PRO role into perspective while answering this. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Yes, go ahead, Aidan, please.
Okay, so just from a personal point of view, I joined last September, so I suppose this is a full year for me at this stage. And so I would just like to say that it's given me huge personal development, and I've enjoyed it thoroughly so far. And obviously, it's been a huge setback too, go from the meetings in the Prince of Wales, but I think we've adapted absolutely amazingly. And even though the internet coverage can be poor throughout for some people, including myself, I think I've gained so many friends, and not alone just being part of the Toastmasters, but I think I've gained some friends that will be able to assist me as I continue my career, and I'm looking forward to the next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Aidan. We really appreciate that you have taken to Toastmasters as fish would take into water. It's such a wonderful way. You're fully into the Toastmasters, the ethos and the environment, and you're 100% into it. So we really love and we admire this, Aidan. Thank you very much. So Siobhan mentioned about the COVID, and I just see that in the news that there are 40 new cases and no further deaths reported in the Republic. That is the news as of now. What do you think about that, Francis?
I think at the moment, Ireland is doing very well. What has happened is unfortunate. These are clusters that are occurring. But I am concerned about what's happening outside Ireland. Like, there has been a rapid increase in Spain. And some Irish have been tempted to go to Spain. And I personally hope they're not doing it now, because Spain is going back in, regressing into a second round, it would seem. But I think the government has done a good job here. And I think it can be managed from now on. I think the greatest risk is the airports. If they can manage the airports and work efficiently, I think Ireland can manage this and come out of it. But there is that problem. We are an island, and we should be able to manage it. And we will manage it if we can stop people coming in, and in fact, people going out just for a few months. I think we'll be clear of it. If Eamon de Valera was around, we would be clear of it, because no one will be going anywhere. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Francis. It's a very important point you have made about the cases that could come from outside, where unfortunately some countries are still suffering quite a lot. That would be a really difficult item to keep a tab on, especially for the government. Is no one else going for it? It looks like. Okay, I'll go to a totally different subject now. Do you think that aliens exist? I'll ask James, what do you think about that?
Oh, I can try and remember my speech number 9, which I gave to Tullamore. I'm not sure if anybody from, I shouldn't have said that. There was nobody here. I absolutely, yeah. Some people think, when you think about aliens, people think about some kind of creature that comes into our airspace and abducts people and does experiments on them. But strictly speaking, I think the term would include any life form on another planet. So I would believe about the latter, more about the latter than the former. Yeah, I did a statistical analysis and stole a statistical analysis from a famous astrophysicist called Carl Sagan to build my speech number 9 around. And based on that calculation, I think we ended up with something like 400,000 or so planets that might be uninhabited just in our galaxy alone, in the Milky Way galaxy. And then if you think about that, there are 1 trillion galaxies in the universe, then it kind of becomes even more convincing. So yes, I absolutely believe that intelligent life forms, or even non-intelligent life forms, have evolved in many planets around the universe. I don't think we could be so arrogant as to assume that we are so special, and that that this accident of biochemistry or microbiology, or whichever branch of science you need to draw on, that has happened only once over the space of billions and billions of years. Having said, I don't believe so much, I'm not convinced so much about the definition of alien, which is the creature that comes to Earth to be interested in us. That would be the one that I would like to believe more, but I'd like to experience that, obviously, because the idea that there are intelligent life forms many thousands or millions of light years away from us doesn't really excite me, in the sense that we'll never be able to make contact. So that's a kind of a lonely feeling. And that was the title of the speech, was Lonely Planet. Are we living on a lonely planet? In a sense, we probably are. In a sense, we're not. They're out there, but we may not be able to make contact. So I prefer if they come to us instead. It shows that the science is not a barrier to interstellar travel, because we just haven't figured out how to do it yet. They probably have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, James. It's quite a good coincidence that your speech number 9 was based on that. I did not know that.
I should have said nothing.
It's quite interesting. It's a good coincidence. Anyone?
Can I put a hand up there?
Okay, James.
Can I put a
sorry,
hand up there?
Joe, and then Maeve. Yeah, please go ahead, Joe. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't realize that James did that for speech number 9. It was very coincidental that my speech number 10. Yeah, my point being that that life is very, very, very special in the sense that we know it, because while there could, and the statistical probability is that there's intelligent life out there, the fact remains that we ourselves could be aliens to this planet. And the seeding of the solar system is quite fascinating history in itself. And very recently, I think there were 200 objects identified in the, I don't think they're quite as far out as the Earth cloud, which is way, way beyond things that are rotating the wrong way compared to all of the other planets in our solar system. And effectively what happens, that the nursery that our sun grew up in with a bunch of other stars, when it's separated from that nursery, it stole some planets or rocks from another solar system. So we have aliens in our solar system, and they're out there. There's all sorts of weird stuff. And funny enough, we have spent so much time developing technologies to look into deep space that we now know more what's going on in other galaxies than we do in our own backyard in the solar system. So there are things out there that we just don't know about, and they're in our own backyard. So yes, there are aliens here. We just can't see them.
Thank you very much, Joe. Very, very nice summary. There are aliens, but we cannot see them. It's interesting. Maybe you want to go ahead?
I just want to know one question about aliens, and that is, why are they always drawn with bald heads? So that's my interest. Thank you.
It's something to do with your speech, Maeve, I think. hope you the answer.
You have actually, thank you very much, Maeve. You have proved that from which profession you are coming from by asking that question. Okay, so we'll keep that funny bone alive, and I'll just ask probably Aidan, what's the funniest joke you know by heart?
This joke I know. Oh, that's a good one. God, where did I even go? That one. You have me stymied there now. Funniest joke I know.
Okay, if you're finding it difficult, maybe I can ask you another one. If magic was real, what spell would you try to learn first?
What spell would I like to learn first? Oh, okay, how to get 6 numbers in the lotto. Yeah, okay, I think that'd be it. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Aidan. Great answer. Yes, James, you wanted to go ahead?
Yes, with greatest respect to Aidan, if magic was real, and I had the same problem, the first spell I would do was cast one that would allow me to remember jokes. Because I can't remember either. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that was, you're right, James. I think that was a little bit of a difficult one for Aidan. So,
it's difficult for me.
Absolutely. It would be difficult for me as well. If someone asked me that question, to tell a joke immediately on the fly. Yes, Anthony, please go ahead.
Yeah, on the topic of magic thing, I would ask for the teleportation, wherever you want to be, like in a fraction of a second. I can go to India. I can go to Spain. I can go to wherever I want to be and travel, like teleportation. That would be my magic thing.
Okay. Thank you very much, Anthony. I would probably say the same, I think, actually. Both are in the same boat in terms of being from India. Thank you very much, Anthony. Anyone else? No, okay. So this Albert Einstein says that strive not to be a success, but rather to be of value. What do you think about it, Antoinette?
Sorry, try to be...
Strive not to be a success, but rather to be of value.
Okay. To be a success. No, to be of value rather than a success.
Yes.
I think, yes. I actually do think that if you can be of value to people around you and to everybody, I suppose we all have an element of we want to be successful, and successful maybe in our careers, successful in our role in our families, whatever that may be. It's not necessarily that the two are separate in a way, because you can be very successful, for instance, in your job, which could end up giving a lot of value to people. If you're in the public service or in some area like our health workers or whatever, if you're working and you're at a very successful level, the value that you can bring then in turn to people can be something that is of huge importance. So that's the way I would look at it. You could be driven by success. The other side of that would be that maybe you have no regard for people along the way, and that success is the only thing that matters to you, and that could be to the detriment of your family, to everyone around you, and you could be stymied by that demand for success. So if you could have it that your success leads you to be of value, I think that's what we would all aim for. But it's something that I suppose that you could be blinded by success as such and maybe lose out on the value. Thanks, Samish.
Thank you very much, Antoinette. Very, very, very nicely summarized, Antoinette. Thank you. Yes, please go ahead, Francis.
I think Antoinette really answered it. Like, what is success? How do you define success? Now, in the modern world, when we talk about success, it's your position in a job, it's your position in society. But being able to communicate with people, being able to help people, being able to do the simple things in life, to be a cleaner, it doesn't matter what you're doing, it's success. To help an elderly woman across the road, to sit down and listen to someone who's in sorrow, no matter what you do in life, it's success. But we tend to make success as something big. It's not, it's everything. It encompasses everything in your life. From getting out of bed, that's success. There's a lot of people that can't do that. So no matter what you do in life, it's success. The fact that I could turn on this computer tonight, well, that's success. So I think it's the opposite. Like you said, which is better, success or meaning or whatever. Success doesn't have to be great because it's everything. And if people could realize that, like it's just has been boxed in, this thing of successful in your job, successful in your position. But it doesn't stop there. It's everything. Contest chair or Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Francis. Very nicely answered. I think you bring in the point of gratitude as well. I think intrinsically you have brought in the topic of gratitude there, because you're saying even getting up, if we can recognize that every small thing that we do is a success, then we are being grateful for whatever we are doing. And that's really a very important point that you have put in. Thank you very much, Francis. Okay, so the next, right. So this one is Robert Frost, and it is very, very nice one. It's very famous as well. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. What do you think about that, Joe? Are you online, Joe?
Oh, I thought that one was
Okay.
going to. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Connection is unstable still. Oh God. It's a poem that has etched in my mind ever since my childhood when I first heard it. And he was a great poet. I suppose my career has taken a very unconventional route, but I've experienced a lot. So I have a very broad view of the world, I think. And while, as Francis said, how do you measure success? Well, I'm not high up in my organization or anything like that, nor do I have any intention to either. But the experiences that I've garnered along the way have allowed me to look at life very philosophically. I think that if I was more focused and found my way up the ladder, what you find is the ladder gets more and more narrow the higher you go, and there's very little wiggle room. So I'm in a position where I'm more of a generalist and I can move this way or that, and I'm probably a little bit more adaptable that way as well. So yeah, it's not the way everyone wants to go. People want to become more specialist nowadays. That's the road more traveled. That's not really for me. And going back to success, just to even being able to be alive at the end of the day. My father passed away there in February. That's a success, getting through the day. I mean, we have so many demands on ourselves nowadays, especially as parents of young children, or just, maybe you're holding down 2 jobs or something like that. There are so many pulls at your time and your levels of concentration. Getting through the day is a success. And also, just if you do want to measure success with some kind of a ruler, you could always say, well, this is my goal, and if you get your goal, well, then you are a success. Now that goal could be something small, it doesn't have to be anything big. So if your goal is to be of value to someone, then being of value is a success. And that's what I always try to do. And so, yeah, unfortunately, there aren't enough people with that sense of morals or values. In the modern world, I see a lot of trolling going on the internet, and it kind of brings the moods down a bit in that regard. But yeah, just what's that quote from today? Change the world by being who you are. Well, being who you are is taking the road less traveled, because there's only one person who can be you, and that's you. Thank you, Topics Master.
Excellent, Joe. Very well answered. I love the way you have ended the whole, it's
Okay,
like a mini
okay.
speech. Thank you very much. Please go ahead,
Okay,
Shivan.
Oh no, I think
We'll let Shivan answer and then we can go. Please, Shivan, yeah.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Yeah, so when I heard that topic, I thought of just what Joe finished with there, how it tied into the theme for tonight, and by being yourself, you can change the world. And I just remembered as well, I was recalling, so I've gone on a few different walks, loop walks during lockdown. I prefer to go on a loop walk because I don't like to have to come back the same way that I go. But on a few occasions, a few rare occasions, I realized I was always starting at the same point. And I thought, why don't I go the opposite way? And it's amazing because when you do go the opposite way, so when you go the way you might come back, the experience is completely different. It's completely different, and you see things differently. You're on the same route, but you're actually seeing things from a slightly different angle. And I think just when you think from that quote that you gave as the topic, what that makes me think about is that if you take the road less traveled, it may not be easy. It probably won't be easy. And even if it's not the road that's meant for you, it will build certain skills that you need to build. Because I think by taking the road that everybody else is taking, even if that one was kind of for you, the path is already trod. So there's not too much that's going to challenge you. So it's always better. It's always better to be a little bit brave and take the road less traveled, I think.
Thank you very much, Shivan. You have kind of nailed it in a literal way as well. So that's really great. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Over to you, Toastmaster.
It's a tradition to ask the topic master one of the topic which he asked himself. So I ask you what's a joke?
Joke, yes. This is what I said. It's difficult for even for me. I think in India there is a group of people called Punjabis. There is a lot of jokes for them. They are from a state called Punjab, and there are a lot of jokes related to them. So generally their names end with Singh. You probably would have heard Singh, S-I-N-G-H. It is S-I-N-G-H. So a Punjabi is coming to Ireland, and he's asked his name. So the Irish person is asking, "What's your name?" He's saying, "I am Singh." So the Irish person again says, "I'm not asking you to sing. What's your name?"
Okay, thanks, Amit.
So he says again, "I am Singh."
So,
That's my joke.
Okay, thanks, Amish. And yeah, Francis, I should have asked you a tough one. Okay, we'll have a 5 minutes break. Then we'll come back for prepared speech.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Anthony.
Everybody, and we have the first speech of the night, and the evaluator is Anthony Gatley. Anthony, can you just give the objectives of Maeve's speech?
Yes, thank you. This is a speech from the Presentation Mastery Level 1 projects, and the purpose of the speech is that the member will deliver a well-organized speech on any topic, and they'll incorporate feedback from the previous speech evaluation, and they can choose to present the same speech or they can present a new speech. So the best of luck, Maeve, with your speech.
And it's a new speech.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Toastmasters here tonight, and friends, I present you with something I've been working on for a little while, and it's only a really tiny, tiny piece of it. But here we go. Can everybody see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first screen talks about doctors of the short robe. And that was the name given to barbers and surgeons after. Barbers were barbers first, then there were barber surgeons, and then they were called doctors of the short robe. And the reason for this was that a college of St. Cosme had 2 levels of doctors. Level 1 doctors were given the long academic robes and were permitted to perform surgeries. But level 2 doctors were given the short robe. Now, these short-robed doctors were very bitter because the long-robed physicians always looked down on them. Therefore, the short-robed doctors decided that they would offer barber surgeons secret lessons on human anatomy, as long as they swore to be supporters of the short-robe physicians. The first barbering services recorded was by the Egyptians, and that says that they cut hair with instruments that they made from shells, oyster shells, and sharpened flint, and sometimes tweezer-like instruments. Beard qualities. In many countries, thick beards were hugely favored by men. A man's long beard, and sometimes it was seen as a representation of maturity, fertility, and capability. So obviously, the longer the better. Gold dust was often used by the higher classes during ceremonies and burials. They dust their beards with the gold dust. So slide 4 shows Blackbeard. Now, Blackbeard's name was Edward Teach, but he was a legendary pirate, and he was feared across the Caribbean Sea and the North American colonies, and also the Indian Ocean. His nickname apparently came from his thick black beard, which was scraggy and dreadlocked, and it says that he would keep lit fuses in it when he saw his enemies to frighten them. So much of his life is a mystery, but his legacy, I'd say, went on to inspire the masses on the idea that there were pirates out there, and there were the fearsome rogues of the sea. Julius Caesar, one of the most powerful men in Roman history. He had the effect on hair fashion for men with his forward fringe, and several years after this fashion changed, it changed with beard. It started off with no beard, and then it became the same style with a beard. And the reason for the beard at that stage was vanity, and that was because the Emperor Hadrian at the time grew one to cover scars on his own chin. Alexander the Great. This king, Alexander III, he was Greek, and up to the age of 15, actually, he was tutored by the great Aristotle. During the war, it was said that he made his soldiers shave for battle so that they could gain advantage in close contact, hand-to-hand combat. The idea was that his soldiers could grab the enemy by the beard while the enemy could not do the same for them. So that was forward thinking. And here's my favorite, Hans Latzet. Well, when it comes to the winner of the longest beard, the trophy has to go to him. He was a native of Norway and immigrated to the US. He began growing his beard at 19. He was a farmer, but there was a road shows passing through his town, and they asked him to join their freak show, and he went with them because it was more money than farming, and he was part of their show. prior to his death, he left specific instructions that his beard was to be removed before he was buried. And it's now on show in the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C. King Henry III, well, this was the high Middle Ages. In France, after his wedding to Princess Agnes, some people were outraged that others appeared in public without a beard after shaving them off. It was often assumed that clean-shaven faces were a feature of the upper class station, and the bearded face showed that the person's station was the lower class. Abraham Lincoln, this is one of my favorite stories. During his early political career, the US president was clean-shaven. Then he received a letter from an 11-year-old girl a month before the 1816 presidential election. She said, "Let your whiskers grow. You will look much better with a beard." And lo and behold, within a month, he had grown a beard and won the election. So you know now what to do. Grow a beard if you're going for election. The urban Greeks, not very interesting, but they always wore their hair forward, either curled at the ends or curly, pin curl to form their face. And they got their hair cut in marketplaces, which were surrounded, the stools were placed in marketplaces, and they were surrounded by people waiting for haircuts. Sorry, I missed one. Bathhouses. Now, the bathhouses are an interesting section, and the barber surgeons, if you remember the barbers or the doctors of the short robes, the barber surgeons had knowledge of compresses, powders, ointments, lotions, potions. They treated wounds and broken bones even. During war times, they transformed various grisly tasks such as bloodletting, the use of leeches to drain infections. They lanced and drained boils, performed enemas. They did ear candling, and they burned off cysts. Such a lovely job. Their duty even extended to some basic chiropractic functions, such as the straightening of quick necks and bent backs. They also treated rheumatism, and they extracted teeth. Their main place of work was the public bathhouse. These were in every town and village, and they had hot water and soap and lye, and it was a steam bath. And this was for young and old, for personal hygiene, preserving one's health. They guarded themselves against illness. The men liked to bathe, eat, and drink together at the same time. It was their way of socializing. The washing of one's body was important. This was regarded as cleansing the senses and fortifying of the brain. And if they wished, after the hot baths, they could also take a cold bath. The 16th century style showed mustaches, beards, and a selection of shapes. The beards this time were dyed, perfumed with saffron and hyacinth, and even waxed and curled. And finally, the history of the barber pole. The bowl was the container that held the leeches, and the bowl sat on top of the pole. The blood was drained into that after the leeches were on the body. The person getting the leeches on them held tightly to that pole. When the pole was re-put up outside wherever the bathhouses were. The bandages that were washed were put up. Not always, all the blood didn't always come out. So obviously there was blood stains on the pole from them holding it, and the bandages wrapped around it gave it the red and white picture that we see nowadays. And if you see one with blue, it was really the French, the British, the American and the Canadian who added that because of their flag. And this will be continued, hopefully, for the ladies, because this is only a tiny pinch of the history of men's hair. Thank you. Can you see me?
Thank you, Maeve, for a wonderful speech. It was very interesting. For a change, you just gave a topic which was like out of nowhere. It was really interesting for us to know how the different, especially the poll stuff was very interesting. Well, I'll give 2 minutes for everybody to write a comment on Maeve's speech. Thanks, Eden. Next, we'll move on to the next speech of the day. The speech is by Somesh, and the title of the speech is Protege Forever, Lifetime of Learning. The evaluator of Somesh's speech will be Shibon. Shibon, can you please give the objective of Somesh's speech?
Sure. So Somesh's speech is from the Effective Coaching. It's introduction to Toastmasters mentoring, and the objective is to write and present a 5 to 7 minute speech about a time when you were a protege. Share the impact and importance of being a mentor. I'm looking forward to it, Somesh.
Okay. Toastmaster, you're not going to introduce me. Yeah. Okay, I'll start. So,
sorry.
It's
sorry.
okay, no problem. I'll start.
Sorry.
Protege is the word that I heard for the first time when I started this effective coaching path. And I never heard this word before, protege. And this word actually means that one who is a mentee. So we have a concept of mentor, and we have the concept of mentee. One who is being mentored. Are you seeing the screen?
Yes, we are seeing.
Right. So this is what I wanted to talk about in terms of what a protege and a mentor is. So mentor is someone, it is like a person who is watering the plant. So mentor is someone who is giving the protege or the person who is seeking guidance, the guidance that the person needs in order to grow. So what is needed for a plant to grow? It needs sunlight, it needs water, it needs fertile land. So similarly, a mentor is providing that environment, that guidance, that feedback that is needed so that the growth of the protege is not stymied. This is a very important point. So in my case, 5.5 years back, the three musketeers from Ericsson wanted to try out something new. They wanted to go and explore the path of personal development. And one of the musketeers said, why not go into Toastmasters Club and have a look what's going on there? So the three musketeers went into the Toastmasters Club and found all the mentors over there. They were all mentors. From the beginning, the person who actually smiled and greeted, the people who were sitting in the audience, the members, the people who were there in the top table. For example, Francis was the president at the time. And Francis is an absolutely great mentor. So I remember the time when I started off, and there was one Toastmaster called Matt, I think his name was. But before that, there was Liam, who was planning to go to India, I think. He wanted to go on a trip to India, and he was taking a break from Toastmasters. He was doing the VP education role at the time. And when I came in, I was trying to understand what is going on. And somehow I just took the courage, and I said that I'll try and help out. And I got so much great mentorship from Francis at the time in terms of understanding what is involved in VP education role. And that helped me a lot in terms of progressing and understanding. So that was the time when I was a protege. And I'm still a protege. I'm still learning. I think this is very important, that the teaching and learning are inseparable from each other. So Phil Collins says that in learning, you will teach, and in teaching, you will learn. So it is really amazing. The most learning that someone can get is through teaching. It could probably seem like a paradox, but that is the truth. When we learn any subject with the mentality of, with the perspective of how we want to present it to someone, we learn it in such a different way that we go into the depths of the topic, and then we would go into so much of the depth that we probably would not have done when we were going with the perspective of just learning the topic. So as a mentor, for example, what I would suggest my protege would be that whenever we are learning anything, we learn it in such a way that with the perspective that we are going to teach it to someone. How simple can we make one particular topic? I think that is very important. Then Denzel Washington says, show me a successful individual and I'll show you someone who had real positive influences in his or her life. I don't care what you do for a living. If you do it well, I'm sure there was someone cheering you on or showing you the way. So that's what Denzel Washington says. So, and who is that person? A mentor. I was listening to Simon Sinek. He's a very, very huge thought leader in terms of leadership. And Simon Sinek was saying that the relationship between a mentor and a protege is actually a relationship based on friendship. It is not based on one person giving and another person receiving. It's actually based on both ways. For example, I can give an example where I am a mentor and I'm mentoring, say, for example, Amarendra, and I have learned so much from him. I've learned from him he was using the Grammarly tool, and I never knew about Grammarly tool. It is such a great tool. It automatically corrects all the grammar mistakes that anyone could be making while writing the speech. So he was using that, and I learned it from him. So so the mentor protege it's like a relationship which is based on friendship, and it is a two-way process. So the mentor learns from protege. That is the paradox. It's not that only the protege learns from mentor, but the mentor also learns from the protege. And that relationship that they establish between each other as a friend in a friendly way is what holds up the test of time. To end this, I wanted to show you this cartoon. So what I want to say is we should not ask anyone to become a mentor in this way. I would let you read this. He's making the boss of his boss the mentor so that he doesn't get fired. So to end, I would again go back to the quote: in learning you will teach, and in teaching you will learn. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. A very good speech and a very good joke. I think this was a much better joke than the joke you said earlier. It was a very nice one. Thank you so much. Let's take 2 minutes to give comments to Sumesh's speech. Thank you, Aiden. Now we'll move on to the second part of our meeting, the evaluation. I call on Antoinette to evaluate Maeve's speech. Antoinette, please.
Thank you. Firstly, well done, Maeve, on a most enjoyable speech. I was so impressed with the title of your speech that before you spoke at all, I was very interested in what you were going to say. This speech involved applying the feedback from your first speech, so I'm going to address that part of it first. Now I had spoken to Maeve, so I knew the areas that she was going to be looking at, and the first area was the vocal variety. Now I thought you spoke very clearly and definitely, Maeve. It was clear that you understood your subject very well, and that you had a lot of research done on it. And we were also looking at the gestures, and I thought your gestures were very good. You started off by emphasizing the tiny, tiny. You caught us straight away with that. And throughout, you were using your hands. Now, that was the best that we can see on the camera, but I knew you were making the effort with the gestures. Also, your comfort level, you were, as I said, very clearly knew your topic so well, and that came across. And I really enjoyed your speech. I really liked the way you brought us through the history, really, without us realizing it. We were brought through the different eras from Julius Caesar with the front fringe through the emperor. You went to Alexander III and Abraham Lincoln. Very interesting about the letter from the girl. And we could see that you had a good sense of humor. The quote you gave us about if you grow a beard and you'll win an election was a very good phrase. So your descriptive language throughout was very good, Maeve. And in particular, you were talking about the marketplace, and we could picture the people getting their hair cut and everyone having a look. You could see them there. The bathhouse is very descriptive of all the different jobs that you nicely listed out for us that were carried out there. And I will never look at a barber's pole in the future the same way, Maeve, without thinking of your speech and what it signifies. And I thought you had a fantastic ending. The to be continued really left us all waiting, and we'll be looking forward to your next speech. One thing I would say is that I would suggest that maybe if you could practice a little bit with the slides in the future before the speech to get used to them, because they were really good slides and they added to the speech, so it would be pity not to use them. So well done again, Maeve. I'll be looking forward to your next speech. That was my first speech evaluation, so I'll remember it, Maeve, and I hope I haven't stymied the process in any way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I was disconnected again. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we move on to the second evaluation for the day, for the summit speech. Shibon, can you please give evaluation for the summit speech, please?
Sure, with pleasure. So it was my pleasure to evaluate Smesh's speech this evening. And it does indeed, it seems like a very interesting path that you're on at the moment, the coaching path, Smesh. I imagine it will really serve to improve your skills and will kind of push you further into the mentor role yourself. Great title from the outset, like Antoinette said about Maeve's speech. It really got me thinking beforehand. Protege forever, lifetime of learning. And that certainly was the theme and the topic of your speech. That was very clear. I love the word protege as well. And I loved how you discussed that. It's so much nicer than mentee, I think, that word. You managed to use the word of the night, which is always a bonus and a plus in these situations. I really liked how you interwove the story with the theme. And I particularly liked the story about the Three Musketeers because it kind of created a little bit of suspense. It left me wondering, is this who I think he's talking about? And I think it's a very good tool and technique to tell a story in the third person that's actually a personal story that you're part of. It creates that suspense. So that was really good. I loved the key message about the reciprocity of the relationship between a mentor and a mentee. And you reinforced that by repeating it a few times and giving a few examples. And you spoke about Simon Sinek and his approach, his thoughts on all of that. And that quote, in learning, you will teach, and in teaching, you will learn. That's definitely a very powerful message, and it tied in nicely with your title of the speech. I liked how you used visual aids. I liked the PowerPoint. My only problem with the PowerPoint, and I don't know if it was my screen, was that I didn't see just the screen version. I saw like all of the other parts at the side. And I don't know if that's something that can be changed, but I just think it does take away from the impact of just looking at one slide. And just one other recommendation I would have, Sumesh, is you're obviously a very advanced speaker, and you know your speeches always have a great message and great impact. I rarely hear you use groups of 3, and I don't know if this is something that I think if you did, if you used like 3 examples, three maybe alliterative descriptions, I really think it would add a lot of kind of punch and impact to what you say. And so it would just mean playing around with language a little bit. And it's not, I imagine it's something you're well capable of doing, but I think if you do it intentionally, it will definitely benefit your speeches going forward. But in summary, I think it was another fantastic speech, great message, great title, and your use of stories. I think that's one of your strengths. Definitely, you always choose really strong stories that have a really important message and moral, and I always look forward to hearing those. So look forward to hearing your next speeches, and well done again, Sumesh.
Thank you, Siobhan. Now we'll move on to the second thing, grammarian. Can you please give us a report on the word usage and on the how the R counters and the im counters, please? Joe, Joseph Connor.
Certainly, Mr. Toastmaster. My signal seems to have gotten a bit stronger, so I've clicked on the video there. I'll first talk about crutch words. I counted 39 tonight. Probably missed 1 or 2, or probably overcounted. You never know your luck with these sorts of things. Sometimes you imagine they are where they aren't, and sometimes you miss them. So we'll round it up to 40, say, and that's pretty good for a meeting. And many's the meeting we've counted in the 80s and 90s. So the word of the day came out to only 4 counts. And I didn't think it was that difficult a word. It's just a word that's not used very often. That's the only thing. I suppose it's more a case of getting used to using it. And as regards the language, a couple of things popped out there. I liked some of the analogies. Samesh used, what was it? I can't read my own writing, sorry about that. Like a fish taken to water. I can't remember what it was in reference to. And then just words that I particularly like that were used tonight. Paradox, always like that. I spoke about the Fermi paradox, named after Enrico Fermi, the nuclear physicist who wanted to know where all the aliens were. And I really liked that word reciprocity that Siobhan used during her evaluation. It's a fantastic word. And that's as much as I have to say about the language of tonight. Thank you, Master Toastmaster.
Thank you, Joe. Next, we'll move on to the evaluation, the meeting evaluation. I will call upon the evaluator, James Sheridan. Can you please give us the general evaluating for the whole meeting, please?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. We had a very good meeting this evening. We had some technical difficulties we're all aware of starting out, so we were about 10 minutes late today. It is a very difficult medium, Zoom, even though we've been using it for some months now. It constantly throws up challenges for some people. It might only be one person, but that might be an important person in the meeting. So we just need to grin and bear it and just hope that we get more and more fluent with the technology. I guess the power of Wi-Fi for individuals can have a big impact on the fluidity of the meeting as well. So it's understandable that we had some technical difficulties. We got going, and we had a very warm welcome from our president, Maeve, and also from our Toastmaster, Anthony, who introduced the roles. And so we got into the topic session then, and it was I found it a really jovial, convivial, fun topic session this evening. It was a theme of fun. Samesh really tried to keep the funny bone alive, which really like that one. And it pretty much stayed alive for the rest of the topics. There was a kind of a secondary theme then, which crept in around success, which I really enjoyed. And it actually, that theme carried through add-ons and further topics. Yeah, I just on the fun, I just took a note that I took a note here that we should probably twin Punjab with Kerry, because we have the same tradition here in Ireland, the Kerry man joke. So, yeah, the speeches, I can't comment on the speeches. I just want to maybe back up some of the things that the evaluator said on practice. So, especially if we're using presentations, I think in both speeches, PowerPoint was used, and there were some difficulties with the use of the slide. So I think it would be useful if the speaker can get an opportunity, possibly with the evaluator, but if not with the evaluator, there must be a family member or somebody who can help to just do a dry run on the speech with the slides and get comfortable with the presenting. Because it can be easy, very easy, and I've been doing it all the time, even in my meetings at work. I've been trying to present something. I think people are looking at my screen and I'm presenting a different application completely on my computer. It's very easy for that to happen. So it'd be good to practice the presentations, especially. Great timekeeping by Aidan this evening. It was just bang on the whole time. I think he deafened Joseph at one point with the bell. I'm not sure if that picked up on that wrong when the bell was tested, but at least he got everybody's attention. On the just moving in, I don't know why I put the timer out of sequence there. On the evaluations, Antoinette, your first evaluation, it definitely didn't come across as a first evaluation to me. I think the preparation time you've put into it, you said you spoke with Maeve, so you spent some time doing that preparation. So that really showed, and it really paid off for you this evening. And it was a very professional evaluation. I counted 11 positive points of feedback, and one very good recommendation, which was also about the practicing the presentation and the slides as part of the preparation for the speech. And Siobhan's, as always, Siobhan's evaluation was very professional, and there were I counted 10 positive points and 2 very constructive recommendations. Just one other thing I'd say, I'll just mention the grammarian, excellent job on the grammarian at 37. I counted 38, Joseph, so you were up by 1 there. Joking, of course. Yeah, just one little thing we missed, I think, this evening is the calling for times. I don't remember the times being called for in the speech or in the evaluation. So it would have been good for people to know what the times are. Maybe we can call for times now so the speakers can know what times they got. If Aidan has those times, it might be a useful thing so the speakers can get those values before they finish up the meeting.
Yes, indeed, no problem. So Maeve's speech was 10 minutes 57 seconds. Somesh was 7 minutes 32. Antoinette's evaluation speech was 3 minutes and 7 seconds. Siobhan's was 3 minutes and 45, and yourself there has just run at 4 minutes on the button.
Thank you for doing, yet again, the very professional job on the timing, and really appreciate that. A very good timing for the evaluators, by the way. That's excellent. And I think that brings my role to an end for the evening. I really enjoyed the meeting.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, James. With this, I conclude the meeting for today and hand over the gavel to the president. Maeve. I think she's. Maybe we'll wait for a minute.
Gremlins have crept in again.
Yeah, it's a bit complicated. I hope this is the last meeting. Then we'll have face to face soon. Okay. I think I'll take the opportunity on behalf of Maeve to conclude the last meeting of this year. I mean, last year is over, the Maeve's presidency, and I wish you everybody a very good summer break. Have a good time. Hopefully, the COVID situation doesn't come back again, and let's have a safe summer break. Bye, everybody. Good night.
Good night, Anthony. Thanks very much.
Goodbye.
See you in
September.
September.
Okay,
Oh,
Maeve's
wait.
back.
Well, Maeve's back.
Maeve's
Sorry.
back.
Leave back.
Maybe we finished the meeting without you.
But you can finish it again.
We can finish it again. Sorry.
Yes.
Can I just ask, what was the timing on my speech? I must have missed that.
10:57.
What? Get away! You're joking. Come on. Are you
Sorry. Time doesn't tell a lie.
I thought that was the camera.
I cut out half it. I don't believe you.
Yeah, unfortunately. That's why I don't know whether people use the in video for the timing, because it can be useful.
And I wouldn't mind, but I was racing with my voice to get it all in. Oh, that's bad.
I have that problem all the time with my speeches.
Did you do goodbyes and everything without me?
What's that, Maeve?
Did you do your goodbyes and summary and everything without me?
Oh, yeah, we did.
No,
Yeah,
we are
yeah.
waiting for you to conclude.
But you can always say goodbyes again. Maeve, did you get your pedestal from the hotel?
Yes.
All right, okay.
Because I wasn't outside the door since I think I saw you all last.
Good night, folks.
Good
Night,
night,
Aidan.
Good night.
and James.
I say good night to you and have a nice 5 weeks break.
Bye-bye.
Indeed.
Is it 5 or
Right,
6?
take care.
Very soon. Yeah, it will be 5
Take
weeks
care, everyone.
because
All
it'll be
right.
end of July, all of August, and 1 week in September. So
Yeah, I
that's
suppose. Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
Okay. Goodbye, everyone.
Okay.
See you in September.
Well,
Right.
Well,
Bye.
enjoy
Take
that.
care.
I
Take care.
presume,
Ash for hosting and helping me with the slides there.
Welcome.
I presume we'll be having some sort of we'll
Party?
have no, well,